I just got a crazy idea in my head, and I'd like to try it with live coding. So I'm not sure if we can do that here. So my idea is converting a Google Doc into a web application. Okay, so basically we're going to host a web application with the data you created in a Google document. So that's our target, right? So this is our goal in this video. So let's do it right now. So here I have the Google document. Okay, let's go to the script editor and start working on this project. So if this can work, that means you can design your web application in a Google Doc, and you just need to use this script to publish your Google Doc as a web application. Okay, so let's hope we can do it here. All right, so let's rename it. Rename this project first. So this is live coding 003. Okay, I click it multiple times. So to build a web application, we need something, of course. Let's zoom in a little bit. So to build a web application with AppScript, first of all, we need to have a function called doGet. Okay, so every time somebody visit your web link, your page, this function will be called. Okay, so this function is called doGet, just like we are using function like onOpen. This is kind of special function which will do basically the trigger function. Okay, so for this onOpen, every time you open this Google Doc, this function will be called, and this doGet is designed for web application. So every time somebody visit your web application, this function we're going to be called, and we're going to serve some content to your to the visitor so they can see your web application. So we need to have a function called doGet. And we now have this doGet function, and we need to get the content, okay, basically the HTML content from our document. So we need a function here to get HTML from doc. Okay, basically I'm going to convert the HTML, convert the Google Doc from into HTML content, and I'm going to serve this content as a web application. Okay, basically right now we only need to have two functions to make this application working. Okay, so let's complete the first part, and since this part could be a little bit easier, so let's start with this part, this doGet function here. So let's try to do first of all, we need to have HTML content output. Okay, HTML output equal to HTML service. We're going to use this HTML service API to create HTML content from a file. You have 4 options here. So for this one, we're going to use the first one and create HTML output. And you need to pass the content, the HTML content here, or you can use a set content function here to set content. So let's add a content here. This content will be returned from this function. Okay, so right now let's just put content here as a test. So demo content for LC003. So let's just give a content like this, and we can set up a title for your application. So this is the title, which will be like this. This is the title for your application. So let's give it a app name here. So whatever name you like. So for this one, I'm going to use LC003 and Google Doc to web app application. Alright, so I'm going to use this app name as a title for our project, for our application. Okay, so that's the HTML output, and we need to return this HTML output. Okay, and as you can see, we have other stuff we can set up, but for now, I think that's enough to serve this as a web application. All right, so now we have this function ready, so we can serve this project as a web application. To serve a project as a web application, what we can do here, we need to deploy, and the new deployment. I'm going to choose a web application. For this for the type, we choose a web app. All right, let's say initial release for the first revision, and here you can choose who should have access to your application. So let's try to change it to anyone. That means even anybody who doesn't have any Google account, so they can access your web application. So if you design this only for yourself, you can choose this only myself. All right, and the script should be executed as myself. Okay, not this one. So let's try to deploy. All right, so this is the URL for your website. So let's try to visit this website, and as you can see, this is the app name or title we just set for your application. And for the content, well, I don't see any content from here. Something wrong. Okay, finally, it's kind of slow. So this is the content, the demo content we just put it here, right? This is the demo content. So so right now the application is set up. It's just the content is not what we are looking for. Basically, where the content should be replaced by the content in this Google document, right? So that's our next step. Okay, so to get the content from the Google Doc, so let's change it here. So we call this get HTML from doc function to get the content. All right. So right now there is nothing here. Okay, so let's try to get. If you go to the deploy and the manage deployment, and you should have. Let me check. Web application. I should have. Okay, I should go to the test deployments. In this section here, we should have another URL which is designed for development. So you can copy this URL here, and if you go to this URL, this URL is for the development. As you can see, it's end with dev. All right. And for the production, you have exec. That's, I think, is for execute. So this is the dev link. So right now we return nothing here. If we return, this is from function get HTML from doc. So if we return this content from this function, and this website should be updated. So if I try to refresh this page, I should get the content from this function. Okay, as you can see. But for the production link, if I refresh, I should have this content. I should have the same content, not the updated one. All right. So we use this link to develop our application. And after we did everything, we need to republish our project. Okay, as you can see here. And this is the old content. So right now we can close this link, and we'll try use this dev link for our project for the demo here. So let's try to work on the part to convert a Google Doc to HTML content. So to do that, if you go to the Google file, Google document, in this file menu, here you have a download option. As you can see here, you can download it as a Word, Microsoft Word, and you have other options, other types of files, a file format like this. As here you can see we have a web page. This is a web page.html or zipped. Okay, so this is the option. We're going to use this to convert our Google Doc into a HTML file. Okay, so that's my idea to do that. So we have a link to this download, but how to get that link? So let me show you. We can write a function, a test function here to get the link, but we don't need to do that link again and again. Okay, so to get this link, we need a service like called Drive App Service. Okay, this is advanced Google service provided for us. Okay, so if you click on this add service, so let's do it again. Let's remove this, and okay, you click on this add service, and you find the Drive API. Okay, this one, and here you have v2. So this is version 2 API. All right, so add it, and you should be able to see this Drive API here. So we need to use this API to get the link. Okay, so Drive, and I think it's files get. Okay, I'm going to get the file. The file will be this file, current file. Okay, current file will be a doc file, and document, get active document. Right. So as you can see, in this function, we need to have a file ID. So doc get ID. So this is the ID of this Google document, and we have I think we have some. Okay, export links property. Right. So let's try to log these links. Const links, and let's log these links. So let's try to test. All right. Okay, here you have several options, and this one is for PDF format. So if you'd like to export a Google Doc to a document, you can use this URL. Okay, so if I try to export it as a PDF, I copy this URL and I open it in the browser. It should download the PDF file. Okay, as you can see, it's a PDF version of my document. So as you can see, but for a web application, we are looking for this URL. Okay, text HTML. So this HTML, this URL is what we are looking for. Okay, and as you can see here, you have other options like zip and rich text format, and the plain text. Okay, so let's just focus on this part, text HTML. So let's copy this URL. Okay, so let's define the API or something like that. Const API equal to, so this is the, okay, this is the file we're going to use, the content, okay. Or we can call it URL, will be fine. So this is the URL to our Google document. And here we can replace it, this ID. I need to replace it because this is a constant. This is a constant. Right now, its value cannot be changed. So if you copy my project, this ID will be changed because this ID is point to this file. So if you made a copy of this file, of my file, the ID will be different, but the URL, in this URL, this ID is not changed. So we need to replace this with a ID. So let's place the ID here, and we get the ID from the document app get active, and get the ID of this active document, okay, which is this one. So after you make a copy of my file, this ID will going to be basically going to be refreshed every time you call this line, okay, to make sure this ID is the correct one. And now we can use this URL to get the content, okay. So let's try to do something like let's try to fetch the content from this URL, okay. Const response. Let's try to use the URL fetch API to fetch the data from the URL. Okay, so get content text. Okay, so let's try to log this content. Console.log response.slice. Let's try to get maybe 40 characters. So let's try to do it right now. Let's try to run this get doc from get HTML from doc function here. I think it's because I added a new API here, and I need to do the authorization again, I think. But the network is not very good right now. Let's stop and try it again. Okay, what's wrong? So maybe I need to card this part. I don't know what happened here with my, okay, it's a network issue, I think. The service in China for Google is blocked. So that's why sometimes the network is not very stable to connect the Google service. Okay. Okay, let's complete the authorization process. Okay, as you can see, because we only try to export 40 characters, as you can see, this is just the header of this HTML content. So that means in this response, we have the HTML content, right? So let's try to just return this response. I don't know if this is just simple like this. So we return this response. This response is the HTML content, and this content will be used here, right, as the web application content. So let's try to go to this link and try to refresh. Let's hope we can get it done. Okay. If I think the problem here is I didn't think about it. The problem here is for a public user, they don't have access to my Google document. So with that link, they cannot get the content. If I enter my email here, if I log in, I should be able to see the content, I think. Let me try it. I entered my email. Because this is a public, this is the web application, that means it will be accessed by public users. Cannot log in. So we need to do something here. Okay, so we need to pass some parameters here, I think. I don't remember what kind of application. I think it's called, I need to add the authorization. I need to add the token here, I think. So I don't remember which parameters I should add. So if you go to the URL fetch API, let's try to search this API. Load. Okay, it's try to download the file, right? So let's add a token here. Let me try to add a header here, and I think it's called I'm not sure, authorization. For the authorization, I'm going to need add there, and I'm going to add a token here. So let me check if this can solve the issue. So let's try to do this get HTML. Let's try to run this function again. Let's try to log this response. So this is the API get a fetch with the parameters. So in these parameters, you have headers. I think I forget this is headers. I should search for authorization. Okay, it's authorization. Let's try to add authorization here, and this should be headers. Okay, so let's try to run this page again. Okay, it looks like it's working, and this time I didn't get a pop-up to log in with my Google account, and I got an application like this. So It looks like my idea, so it's not crazy, so we can do it like this. Okay, so right now we have an application like this. So if I do some change here in my Google document, so let's say this is working, and let's increase the font size here a little bit, make it bold, and give it red color so we can see it clearly. And if I try to reload this page, so guess what? Okay, so I think this is kind of interesting. Okay, as you can see, these links are working and this image is working. So everything is working perfectly. And if you want to design your web page, you can design it here in your Google document. So I think this is a very crazy or interesting project. And just with, as you can see, I don't need this code, this test function, I don't need it. And just 20 lines of code. So this is I don't know what to say right now. It's just so after you did everything here, you complete all the tests for your application. You need to go to the manage deployments, and you need to create a new version. Okay, so let's say version 2. And deploy, and this is for the product version. Okay, production. Okay, and here you have a link, and you can copy this link, and you can share this link to your visitors, so your client or somebody else you like them to visit your website like this. So this is just a way to do some practice. I don't know if this is a good way to do it. Okay, so I hope you can enjoy this video and learn something new in AppScript. And another thing here, which is very interesting and important to know, I think I'd like to highlight in this video, is this. If I try to run this test function here, all of these links, they're very useful. So if I'm trying to get another version of your Google document, like the plain text or PDF or other format, which you can find here. Okay, so basically all of this content, we can get them through this link. Okay, these links, they're very useful. Okay, you can try to use them in your project. So maybe you'd like to export a lot of PDFs or some other file content. You can try to use this. And you don't need to apply this for your own project, and because this web application, the data should be accessed for public users. Okay, they don't have access to your Google Drive. They don't have access to see your file on your Google Drive, and that's why we need to apply this token here. So basically, we use our own token to fetch the data, fetch this Google Doc, and the public user can see the content in this web application. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. Okay, so it's an interesting video, I think, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.